Oh, wow.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to All Things Dr. Leo and my guest, Dr. Jason Max Ferdinand. Good morning, Dr. Ferdinand. How are you?
Morning, Dr. Lay. How you doing? I'm doing great.
Good, man. I am so honored to have you as a part of this show. And I consider Dr. Ferdinand, if I may say, Jason, a dear friend. And one of the things that makes him such a remarkable musician is his heart. And I want to say that on the outset, Jason has a tremendous heart and just a wonderful personality and a giving spirit. So we have so much to get through, but I'm honored to have him. He's the full professor and chair of the music department at Oakwood University, and also the director of the World Choir of the Choir of the World, the AEOLIANS. And so we are just thrilled to have him on this morning. So let's start with the interview. Would you share with us, Jason, a little bit? You mind? And Jason's okay for this setting. Is that
Yeah.
cool? Just
Yes.
okay. Would you share with us your place of birth? Just tell us a bit about your start.
Okay, I was born in the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, which is the most southern island of the Caribbean archipelago. Um, uh, Born to Leslie and Janet Ferdinand. Um, I have two siblings, my sister Alva and my sister Abdel. And both parents are educators, retired educators. So that alone speaks to how we grew up in our household. So
Right.
my dad has his terminal degree in education, and my mom taught for all her professional life, and my sisters have done extremely well. Alva is a lawyer slash PhD in health administration. He teaches at Texas A&M University as a professor of health policy. My baby sister Abdel is a medical doctor living in Cleveland, Ohio. She's married to a medical doctor as well, with my two nieces, Crystal and Gabrielle, and we're a tight family. So that's my immediate home. Yeah.
Wow, and that says so much. I never knew that about the education. I mean, the educational background and wealth of your family. So that kind of makes sense of the music pool. So tell me, I hear you have strong educational background. How were you introduced to music back then? What drew you to the world of music? What was your introduction as an early youngster?
Well, my dad tells a story. Of course, I don't remember this, but says when I was very young, the record player was playing. Yeah, the record player. Wow. And I stood up in front of the record player and I said, "Hey, Daddy, look, I'm reducting." I didn't even know how to say conduct.
Reducting.
Reducting, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, but then from what I remember, we grew up basically on a university campus. My dad was an administrator there, uh, eventually president of the university there, and the campus was always filled with great music. And I was always doing something musical. There was singing in children's choir, taking piano lessons. Then eventually I started seeing people doing this reducting business. I was like, wow, this looks like it could be something. So those are my first kind of memories of music. But my life didn't always start off thinking I'll be a musician, and that's probably another question you have. But
Right.
my path started off very differently.
Wow, wow. So you were really inspired musically. What inspired you though? What pulled you to continue that on? I know that Seventh Day Adventist Church had some, had some interplay because there's strong musical traditions within that church. I know you're a part of that. And so tell us what was the connection or that kind of drew you to say, wow, this might be pursuit.
And and for me, this answer may seem very different. Again, just based on where I grew up.
Right.
Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago, which has a lot of English British influence. Being a professional musician is not really a thing
Wow.
unless you're gonna do secular music like calypso or soca or
Right.
reggae or something like that. So for us in the British system, and being a Seventh-day Adventist, doing music was not an option. So early in my life, as the British system dictates, I had to choose whether I was going to do business or humanities or sciences, and I chose sciences. So I did high school, what you guys call traditional high school here, and then I was selected to do this other level called advanced levels in the British system. In that system, I was doing biology, chemistry, and physics as my three subjects of study, like intense intense study. And after you do that, you go into medical school. So that was the path I was on. But
Wow.
I was always doing music simultaneously. And honestly, what drew me to do music eventually was a simple word: passion. Um, I,
Mm.
I literally got bored of sciences. I was sick of hearing about photosynthesis and the Z scheme and glycolysis and 36 ATPs and all that stuff. I mean, my favorite subject was physics, but after a while it became boring to me. So, long story short, there was one year when I was doing my sciences and I was doing a whole lot of music that year. I was getting ready for my Royal Schools of Music piano exams, my Royal School of Music theory exams. In Trinidad, we have the Trinidad and Tobago Music Festival. I had my first choir that I was conducting into that, and I said to the Lord, Lord, if I do really well in my sciences and I do really well in the music at the same time, I'm going to choose music at the end of that semester. And that's what I did. But get this, like I said, telling your parents that in the Caribbean is a no-no. So I was so scared to tell them face to face that I wrote a letter. I wrote a letter explaining to you what I just said, and I really want to do music. And I left it in a place where my parents could find it.
Mm.
The very next morning, my dad came out and he said, Jason, we saw your letter. And this is a blessing right here, because my parents really believe this. My parents said, this is not the path most of us in the Caribbean take, but if this is what you want to do, we will support you, and we'll have to make sure you end up at the best school to study music. So that's how my life kind of changed into doing music seriously as a career and a profession.
Wow. Jason, that's amazing. That's amazing that your family throughout this, the tie-in is the closeness and the support of your family. And so tell us a little bit about your beautiful family currently. I know I'm going to switch the seat and we're going to go back, but your family, you've given us your family of origin. So tell us about your beautiful family I've met. I want the world to know about your family now, just a beautiful family.
Yeah,
and their inspiration to you.
Yeah, my wife, Mika. Mika is, we went to school together. We actually graduated class of 99. And then we lost contact for years and years and years. And we reconnected some years ago and are now married. And we have one teen in the house, Caleb, who's 15, and Ava, who's 12. Then there's a gap, and we just had a 10-week-year-old baby. Baby Jamie's been here running our lives.
Yes, yes.
But she's great. Just love watching her grow up and watching all the changes. And I think she's trying to match pitch now, which is a little scary.
Would that be a surprise? No, I don't think so.
Wait, say that one more time, Leo. You're breaking up.
I don't think that would be a surprise to us at all. Not at all. That is wonderful. You have a wonderful, supportive family, and you look so happy around them. And it's an inspiration to so many, Jason. Really is. So your background in Seventh-day Adventist with Oakwood, and then that's your upbringing in church. I've marveled at, especially since my connection with you and the Oakwood School, to watch the strong principles that have been established, and not only religious principles, but the music principles and values. And that extends to every other area or career path that persons in that denomination take. So would you share with us some of the principles that have aided in your success, or many individuals as a result of adhering to those SDA principles? There's some foundational things that you have that have undergirded, and really that it results in so much success.
Yeah, I think the Seventh Adventist Church is really big on education, period. I think this is a fact. The Seventh Adventist denomination it does run the most expansive educational system throughout the world. I forget the exact numbers, but we have so many universities right here in North America, in the Caribbean. There's a big university in Jamaica, a big university in Trinidad, and then we have all the expansion campuses. So Christian education, as we refer to it, is something that's very big, and we hold dear to our hearts in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So that's just one principle of, and then we have this three, you know, home, school, and church. Home, school, and church. We hear that all the time growing up, and how those three things connected kind of help to grow the individual into a mature adult. So I think it's just something that we just hold dear. You know, we try to get all our children to be part of the educational process in some sort of way. And like I said to you, I had no choice growing up in my immediate home, with my dad and what he did and my mom. So those values, were drilled into us from very, 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 very early. And my mom always said, your brains will make way for you.
Mm.
And the three of us took that to heart, because if we had to depend on our parents to pay for our education, we'll never have it, right?
Right.
Coming from Trinidad and making that transition to the States is a big shift financially.
Yeah.
We had to be on our toes to really try and get all the scholarships we possibly could to kind of make it. So the Adventist Church is just really big on education. We pride ourselves in education. We try to pass it on from generation to generation to make sure that they are the beneficiaries of the same thing that we benefited from.
Wow. So you moved from Trinidad, you're educated, you're in high school, and so now you went to the undergraduate, if I'm following the trend right. At Oakwood University,
How did I get to Oakwood? So, like I said, that when I told my parents that I wanted to do music, my parents then had to make a choice of where to send me. And again, it kind of goes back to the previous question. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is structured in such a way that my dad would have received educational assistance. Can you hear me there? So we could receive educational assistance based on the school we went to, and so Oakwood being a part of the Seventh-day Adventist system, I was able to come to Oakwood, and my parents would get a educational discount for my education. Plus, Oakwood was known to be, you know, the leading school when it came to music in Seventh-day Adventist circles. So that was my trajectory there. And a few years prior to that, Professor Mallory at the time, Lloyd Mallory, John Stoddart, and Wayne Buckner. Wayne's name is going to come up again. They came to Trinidad as part of the Pine Forge Academy Choir and did a concert in Trinidad. And a few years later, Lloyd made the transition to Oakwood. So that was another pull. I was like, okay, I know we'll have a great musical thing going on there. So Oakwood was it. Oakwood was it. I mean, growing up in Trinidad, we knew about the tradition here at Oakwood. So I was very excited to come. So that's how I got to Oakwood.
Wow, that is amazing. So were you part of the AEOLIANS then, and who was the choir director? It's interesting to know that. So you're saying that Lloyd and Wayne, they were at Pine Forge.
Right. Well, Lloyd was at Pine Forge. On this particular tour, John and Wayne came along as the accompanists.
Oh, gotcha.
Right.
Wow, that pulls. So you're at Oakwood now. You're a student there. You were in the AEOLIANS. I saw who was conducting the AEOLIANS. So Lloyd.
Yeah, I sang the AEOLIANS, and now Dr. Lloyd Mallory was a prestigious conductor at that time. So I spent 2 years at Oakwood, 97 to 99, and sang under Lloyd. And he gave me the privilege. I was one of the student accompanists, one of the student conductors, and had a couple of pieces sung that I arranged. Yeah, that was a wonderful experience. And we traveled all across the United States and Canada, Bermuda, you know, just really making good music. Yeah.
So your compositional skills began to unfold while at Oakwood at undergrad.
Actually, I was doing it long before I came to Oakwood. When I came to Oakwood, I really wanted to be a composition major, and for some reason, when I got to the campus that year, they decided not to have the program anymore, or something happened. So quickly on registration, they just decided to do, okay, I'll just do piano performance because I was studying piano all along anyway. So really, composition really was my first love, and probably still is.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. So you're there at Oakwood, you're finishing up. And so now following matriculation, Jason, at Oakwood, you pursue a master's degree in choral conducting at Morgan State under Dr. Nathan Carter. So share some, we know we have some mutual memorable stories about that, but tell us how the connection from Oakwood to Morgan State, how that happened, and in choral conducting. So, well, let me allow you to finish that. Now I'll get to the.
All right. So there are two or three major connections there. Even before I left Trinidad, my dad and one of the financial vice presidents at the time at Morgan State, Mr. Abraham Moore, they went to school together in Trinidad in the 60s, I believe. And some kind of way, my dad had a VHS tape of a 1991 Morgan State University choir concert, which we looked at every Friday night in Trinidad, like for years. So I would always see this little short guy conduct. I'm like, who is this dude? I mean, and that video was just so captivating. I mean, you had Ernie on there with the countertop.
Yeah.
Darren Water was on there playing piano. I mean, it was just all these people. So that was one connection. The second connection was when I got to Oakwood, then I realized that Dr. Mallory was a former student of Lloyd's, a former student of Dr. Carter. Lloyd was a former student of Dr. Carter.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Right. So because of that connection, the two choirs every now and then would do programs together, or we'd meet up at different venues. So there's one pivotal time we were all in Las Vegas at the what do they call that thing? I think it was called the Black Extravaganza or something like that. It's like a HBCU choir thing. And Lloyd and I were hanging out with Morgan and Dr. Carter, and Dr. Carter looked at me and he said, aren't you about to do a senior recital? And I said, yeah. And, you know, in typical Dr. Carter fashion, he said, okay, play something for me right now. I'm like, what is this? The piano and started playing the Rachmaninoff C-sharp minor prelude. And then I got to the middle of somewhere and he said, okay, that's enough. Don't you conduct? And I said, a little bit, yeah. And he literally turned around and had the Morgan choir stand up. And right there on the spot had me conduct, I think it was Joshua for the Battle.
Wow.
And I got done and he said to me, you know what? You're going to be my assistant next year. And I was like, what, really? And that's literally how I got into Morgan. I no kind of formal audition. I hadn't turned in any paperwork or anything at that point. So two connections. The one my dad had with his friend, Abraham Moore, and then Dr. Mallory, and the connection he had with Dr. Carter just kind of steered me to Morgan. But like I said, I kind of feel like that was, you know, divine, because like I said, I was looking at this little short guy for years.
Right.
And Dr. Carter, for me, like he is to so many people, was I mean, there's nobody like him, man. Almost getting a little emotional just talking about him. But that summer, I went home that summer after I graduated, and I was supposed to come at some date, and I got delayed and came up 2 weeks later. Dr. Carter called my house in Trinidad. Where are you? You're supposed to be here. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, this guy didn't even know me. And then for some reason, too, my dad could not go with me when I actually went up to Morgan. Like by this time, he was university president, so he had something to do. So my mother took me up, and we got to Dr. Carter's office. And sorry, didn't mean to. Got to Dr. Carter's office, and he said to my mother, he said, "Don't worry, I'll take good care of him." And I'll never forget that. He was a special guy.
Yeah. Yes. With so many have that, Jason, and it speaks so it shows through your music that you express. We see Dr. Carter, we see Little of Lloyd, we see Jason, but we see just this potpourri of such greatness that you have been that you experienced, and now, of course, and it's blossoming into developing the Jason Max Ferdinand sound. That's what I will say, the Jason Max Ferdinand tradition. So that is really amazing. We see that Morgan is given Morgan State, and Dr. Carter gave so much. I can remember now so many instances as well of you participating with them, and the experience of that group. So back now we moved to 2000. We're moving on. You finished Morgan State. You accept a position at Pine Forge Academy in 2000 as director of choral activities, and you taught for the next 7 years. So leadership, that choir traveled the United States, Canada, the Caribbean, and you made several professional recordings with a high school choir. And everything. So how were you selected for that position? You finished Morgan State. Was that while you were at Morgan State? How did you get selected for Pine Forge? And what were your experiences there?
So let me put some of that into context as well. So I keep referencing this Seventh-day Adventist educational system.
Gotcha.
Pine Forge Academy is part of that system, being a Seventh-day Adventist boarding school. I actually finished Morgan in May of 2001, right? May of 2001.
Right.
That spring semester, when I was finishing Morgan, I did several interviews at high schools across the country. And every time I would come back to Morgan, Dr. Carter would say, "Well, how did it go?" And before I could even answer, he would say, "I could tell he didn't like it, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah." And sometime around April, I remember I was walking him out to his car one time, and he said, "You know what, Jason? I'm just going to keep you here." He actually gave me how much he was going to pay me, blah, blah. So I was cool. I called my parents. I said, "I don't have to move. I'm just staying here in Baltimore." But a few weeks after that, I got a call from the principal of Pine Forge, Miss Dinah Cargill. And she said to me, "Hey, Jason, look, Tony Hall, who was then the choir director, was doing the choir. And Tony is an amazing pianist. And I don't think Tony was doing the choir, but she really didn't want to do the choir. She did a great job, though."
Right.
And Tony was the one who said, "I think we need to get Jason up here." Let me just put this in here, too.
Wow.
There were occasions when I was at Morgan, when my schedule would allow, I would actually be the pianist for the Pine Forge choir. So Tony would take me out to Chicago, or I would play for them wherever it was. So I was kind of like their pianist for some time. So anyway, I went up there, did an interview, did a quick audition, and I came back. So by this time, school was out. I come back to Baltimore, and I said, "Dr. Carter, I need to talk to you." So I go up to Dr. Carter's office. And I said, "Hey, Dr. Carter, look, Pine Forge Academy wants me to come." Now, keep this in mind, too. Dr. Carter was very aware of Pine Forge Academy because of Lloyd and Dr. Carter would actually do concerts together. Morgan would go up to Pine Forge and do concerts. So Dr. Carter knew of the Pine Forge tradition.
Wow.
And we spoke for a while, and Dr. Carter was taking me back to my apartment because I didn't have a car that time. And Dr. Carter, with tears in his eyes, he was driving. He said, "Jason," he said, "look, if I keep you here at Morgan, you'll be a small fish in a huge pond. But I want you to go to Pine Forge where you could be in your own pond." Wow. And I remember he said, "Jason, what is for you is for you. You go and you do it, right? In spite of what anybody else says, you go and you do it." And that's how I got to Pine Forge in I guess that'll be August of 2001. And yeah, we did some recordings. We did a major recording at Metropolitan Baptist in 2006, I believe it was, or 7, with full orchestra and that kind of thing. And Leo, I have to admit, and I'll apologize to all the kids at Pine Forge, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I look back at the repertoire now, and I'm going, "Golly, I told that to some high schoolers." Like, so Pine.
If I'm interject, the first time I heard "The Lord Is My Light" by Horatio Parker was Pine Forge. I'm like, what high school? Who is this?
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing in terms of but in a way that was great for me because Pine Forge just allowed me to experiment like no other. I had no kind of boundaries in terms of somebody dictating what I should and should not do. And the kids just swallowed it up. Anything we pulled out, they just stepped up and did it. So I love Pine Forge because it was my experiments.
Yes.
And man, I learned so much just from those 7 years of Pine Forge. It was an amazing time.
So Jason, while you were at Pine Forge, now this is what I can believe. Help me put this in context. I believe I followed your career really succinctly. So you're at Pine Forge. You also get into the DMA program at University of Maryland. You're at Pine Forge, and you're on staff at Metropolitan Baptist Church in Washington, D.C. Senior choir. So now tell me, how are you maintaining with school, church duties, and terminal degree? How was that appropriate? All of that going together, the traveling, the this, the that. I mean, and it's still maintaining a level at Pine Forge. And when the senior choir performed at Metropolitan, it was on top. So tell us about that.
Have you ever looked back at things in life and say to yourself, golly, what was I thinking about? Okay, let me see if I can put that in context. So I'm at Pine Forge Academy, and we got this invite. I think one of my mutual friends, I think it came from Mark Francis, was on staff at Metropolitan at the time.
Okay.
Let the Reverend Nolan Williams know that, hey, we need to get this choir at Metropolitan for Music Day. So it was November of whatever that year that was. Pine Forge Academy went to Metropolitan Baptist just as guests, and we sang. And, you know, choir did really well that day. And a few days later, I get this call again from Reverend Nolan Williams. And he said, look, man, you know, I don't know what you're doing up there with those kids, but I need you on my staff here. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So he asked me, and this was funny because, again, you got to remember, I'm coming from Trinidad, so I have no context about what people get paid on these gigs. Yeah. He said to me, what do you want to get paid? I'm like, dude, I have no idea. And he said, okay, I'm going to call you back in a couple of days, and I'll let you know. So long story short, he called me back. He made me this offer, which I was like, wow, are you serious? So Leo, so literally, I was at Pine Forge. It started off 2 days a week. I would leave Pine Forge, drive the 3 hours down to DC, do a rehearsal. I would finish like about 9 p.m. and then drive all the way back. I would do that twice a week. But I did it 3 times a week, not including the Sundays. I would drive down to DC for church. And one of my dear friends, Neil Thomas, who was the biology teacher at Pine Forge, but he was also one of my accompanists, amazing organist.
Wow.
Nolan got him on staff as well. So sometimes we would kind of drive down together. So that was a Pine Forge Metropolitan connection. Then in 2004, I started feeling this, like I was just kind of at a plateau in terms of my conducting, in terms of my knowledge and that sort of thing. And I picked up the phone and called University of Maryland. Now, Leo, let me just drop this in here, because this stuff like this I can't make up. Remember I told you about that spring semester when I was finishing Morgan and I was doing some interviews.
Right.
Carter was trying to help me figure out what my next step was. And one day, Dr. Carter came to work and he said, you know, Jason, I just met the new guy who was at the University of Maryland. They were doing a high school adjudication or something. And he said, I don't know the guy, but he seemed like a nice guy. Dr. Carter picks up the phone and calls Ed McClary. And he says, hey, this is Nathan Carter. We just did this thing. And they started talking.
Wow.
And literally, Dr. Carter said to him, he said, Jason will be an excellent student for your program. And his last words were this. He said, whatever he does not know, he will learn quickly.
Wow.
So this was follow this. This is 2001. I called Dr. McClary in 2004. That's 3 years later. I started feeling like I needed a fresh thing. I picked up the phone. I said, Dr. McClary, this is Jason Ferdinand. You may not remember me. And before I could finish, he says, I remember you. Dr. Carter called me about you. Like, where have you been?
Wow.
So he said, what can I do for you? What do you need? So I said, you know, Doc, I just feel like I need to get back in school. I need to, you know, go to a whole nother level, that kind of thing. And the typical Dr. McClary doesn't play favors or anything. He said, well, I'll tell you this, you have to go through the process, you have to audition, you have to blah, blah, blah. I said, fine. I was not calling for a favor.
Right.
I was calling to let you know, I'm interested in the program. And so I applied and I got in. I was the only person to get accepted that year at the University of Maryland doctoral program. So that's how those 3 things kind of came. I was already at Pine Forge. Reverend Nolan Williams, my dear friend, brought me to Metropolitan. And in the middle of that whole thing, I got accepted to the University of Maryland and moved back to Maryland to go to school. And
it's amazing, Jason, the link that and how God used Dr. Carter. Well, and used him to give you such favor with him in your life. And it's because of what he saw inside. We know I knew him, but not as well as you did. But one thing I readily can ascertain and discern that he was not a man of fooling around. I mean, he spoke his mind and he could recognize talent. And he saw that in you and wanted and invested a great deal. That says so much. It says so much. So now you're at Metropolitan, you're at Pine Forge, you're at the DMA program, but you're at Metropolitan. I just want to talk a little bit. So who was pastoring? We're talking about the 1225 R Street experience.
Yes, sir.
We're Maryland. We're talking about the R Street experience. Yeah. And so tell us about the staff there. Who was the minister of music, the pastor? But tell us about the ingredients that made Metropolitan so great.
Oh man, the pastor was the Reverend Dr. H. Beecher Hicks. The minister of music was Reverend Nolan E. Williams Jr. And look, I was blown away when I got to Metropolitan.
No.
You know, it was literally my first experience working in a Baptist church. And I got there, I'm like, what is this for real? I mean, and really, I have to, Nolan Williams was probably the best gospel music education I've ever had. I mean, coming from Trinidad, I didn't really have that gospel tradition like you guys would have growing up here in the States.
Right.
Week after week, I was just like, this is crazy. His chorus choir, oh my gosh, it was, every time they sang, it sounded like a recording.
Right.
Really? And then, yeah, I was in charge primarily of the senior choir, which kind of did the anthems and Negro spirituals. And Nolan had a wonderful system there where all the adult choirs would sing together so often and call it triumph, all the choirs.
Yeah, right.
I would conduct that a lot as well. And Nolan and Reverend Hicks just really showed me the real importance of the music meeting the worship style and then followed by the word. It was just so beautiful to watch. And the staff there was, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was like a dream team.
Yeah.
Nolan Williams, John Stoddart, my dear friend joined us a little while after, Nathaniel Gums, who remains my dear friends. I think he was on your show a few weeks ago.
Yes, he was. Yes.
Right. Neil Thomas, who I mentioned, was one of my colleagues at Pine Forge, amazing organist. Jason Powell, Chris Suggs on bass. When I left, it was Carol Deschelle on drums.
Wow.
I mean, and of course, Richard Smallwood would pop in. I was like, seriously, like this is it was a dream team. Right. The choir members there were a true joy. So many of them made my dear friends to this day. They just really embraced me and welcomed me. And I just had a blast at Metropolitan. It was really hard to leave. Metropolitan was a hard place to leave.
So you have it set a precedent, and it has done that for years, even under Thomas Tyler's direction.
Exactly.
So they've been the mecca for preaching and worship for many, many years. So now we're shifting. You're at Pine Forge in the DMA program at Metropolitan, but somewhere along the line, here comes the shift. Your director, the opening at Oakwood University, director of the AEOLIANS. So where does that come from? How do you context? You're still in Maryland. How do you get back to Huntsville? Tell us about that.
So my coming to Oakwood, I didn't accept it until the third offer. And what, the world probably doesn't know this, maybe except a few people. I was actually coming to Oakwood sometime before I actually came. The first time I said no outright. I had just started my doctorate at Maryland. I said, there's no way I'm coming. The second time came, and I actually came down, and when we got to the last part of the interview, I said to the administration at that point, I said, you know what, guys, I think I'm going to say no again.
Wow.
When I said no, I was then offered, Jason, we will get you down here on weekends or something to do the choir. Because I made it clear that I was not leaving my program. And without getting into too many details, I just felt at the time Oakwood needed somebody who was here with the choir all during the week. Me coming in on a weekend was not going to kind of smooth what I sensed was going on. So I said no. I got back home to Maryland, and a few days later, I get a call from one of the administrators saying, you know, Jason, we know you told us no, but we want to do something. That's when they told me we're gonna put Dr. Wayne Buckner. That name came up before.
Yes.
Wayne Buckner as director of the choir, and we're gonna give you a year to think about coming. And at the time, I really said, oh, okay. And I kind of said it in just like, you know, whatever, do whatever you want to do. And that entire year, Wayne will keep calling me. He's like, man, have you made up your mind yet? And I was like, man, I haven't thought about this thing, man. And February of that year came, and the vice president called. He said, Jason, we got to decide now what's going to happen. And I started praying about that thing, and I really felt at that time I was able to come in 2008. So that was the third time that Oakwood had asked me to come down and lead the AEOLians. So Wayne was glad. You know, Wayne is a pianist.
Right. Yeah.
He's a pianist. He did an awesome job stabilizing the AEOLians that year, 2007, 2008. So,
Okay.
so when I came, it was in pretty good shape. So that was my call to Oakwood in the summer of 2008.
Wow. So now we know that now under your leadership, Jason, the AEOLians have won national and international competitions worldwide. It has shifted the HBCU for me. It has shifted the call and the name, and you have established HBCU choirs in a whole nother category. What you have done, what you have created with the AEOLians. Share with us a little bit about the international, national competitions. Just share with us some of your memorable accomplishments that the AEOLians have done.
First of all, anything we've accomplished is just by the grace of God, and really, we always want to give thanks to all the generations of the AEOLians that went before us. You know, and when I came to Oakwood, I made it a point to put all the former directors in the back of the room, like all their pictures in the room.
Yes.
So every day we walk in, we see it, and for us, that just symbolizes not just the directors, but all the people that sang in all these different choirs. Yeah. So one of my goals when I came to Oakwood in 2008 was to expand, expand the territory of the AEOLians, so to speak. So the AEOLians primarily sang in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. We would sing in some denominations, but the professional part of what we did was very, very limited. And because now of my educational background, University of Maryland, and Edward McClary, my professor there, was exactly what I needed at that time in my life. Edward McClary, I would give him probably the most kudos in terms of developing me as a professional conductor. You know what I mean? And as a serious scholar when it came to choral music. So Ed exposed me to a bigger choral world, ACDA. And it was Ed McClary who took the University of Maryland choir to the choir of the world competition in Wales in 2007, right?
Oh, wow.
You see where I'm going, right? So I was a member of the chamber singers there, and the chamber singers, it was a great group. But there was another choir there, man, that kept beating us by 1 point or 2 points every round. And that's a link I'll leave for later. Just remember that. There's another choir that just kept beating. So when I went to Oakwood, one of my goals was, man, I want to take my choir to this competition in Wales. And I probably told that to maybe 3 people. That was always one of my goals. And every year I would kind of, ascertain, are we ready yet? Are we ready yet? Every year would be no. So finally in 2017, I said, you know what? I think we're about to do this. We could do it now. So I applied, we got in, and no, that'll be 2016. And then we went to the competition in 2017, and we went over there to Wales and won that competition, which was mind-boggling, honestly.
Right.
First of all, to walk into the grounds, and you should have seen the strange looks we got.
Oh, gosh.
An entirely black choir, and we got some interesting treatment the first couple of days when we didn't compete. We're just gonna be walking around, and we got strange. I had to tear into one lady one time. I was trying to tell my choir members something real ridiculous. But
Yeah.
after the first note and the first round, people were like, "Oh,
Right.
I'm here to play."
Exactly.
So that was a great experience. We went through that. I won that competition, and all of a sudden, man, my kids' brains open up as to what can be accomplished, not just in music, but just in life, man. And for me, the members of the AEOLians we learn so many life lessons that go way outside the boundaries of music. And that's one thing as a teacher I take great pride in. So we did that competition this past summer. We went to South Africa to the World Choir Games, and that has been the most fun international trip I've ever had. The choir was just ready.
Wow.
The preparation process was kind of strange for me because the entire time I was trying to hold them back because I didn't want them to peak too soon.
Yes.
They were doing so well, and
Yes.
I would just stop them and make up some reason. Okay, tell me you're flat there. They weren't really flat. I was just trying to make up stuff.
Right.
They won there and did so well. 2012, we did the same World Choir Games and did well in that too. But man, it's just about trying to keep an upward trajectory.
Yes.
Trying to expand the repertoire, expand the different approaches. Just open up our minds to so many different things. So I think. Just humbled by what we've been able to do and the support we've gotten from Oakwood and the people that support Oakwood.
Yes. So you move from there, and we know that also we're all, so many of us are thrilled about the AEOLians participating as one of the selected groups for the ACD, the American Choral Directors Association, that national convention in February 2018. It's different from the invitation. You went through the audition process, and your group has been selected. So we are over the top excited about this opportunity. So we recently, because there were so many things I wanted to pull from, but what really stuck with me, Jason, what moved me to no end was the video clip of your preparation for, it was the dress rehearsal for your Christmas production that's coming up early, and Kirk Franklin was in attendance for that. I think he's the guest for the upcoming, and he's just enamored by the choir. But he made a statement. He said, "Your soprano sound like they're on auto tune." And so, tell us about what would you deem as significant components for the unique, homogeneous, engaging choral sound of the AEOLians. What are some of the ingredients that you feel good that you want to share? That make a person, that would make him say that it's such a unique sound, and that we all have experienced.
Yeah, I'll try my best to explain it. It's so much easier to see it in a rehearsal. But
yeah,
like all of us who are directors, man, one of the hardest things to try and get choir members to do, and it sounds funny, but it's to just listen. Like open up your ears and really listen to the sounds around. That's one. Two, the various techniques over the years that we've kind of come up with. Some of them very standard things that I think every choir director does. Some things that may be unique to us that we've kind of developed over the years. The other thing may be partly due to the formation we use. Meaning, I haven't conducted in soprano, alto, tenor, bass for decades now. I always prefer that more homogeneous sound coming to me, coming to the audience, and we rehearse like that as well. So the students get used to listening in that sort of way every rehearsal.
Yeah.
So I think what Kirk was hearing and referring to was just that unanimity of sound that he could hear coming from different sections, and that's something we work very, 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 very hard at. Every singer in a section knowing his or her role, meaning if I have a bigger voice and I'm singing and we're singing a passage that's softer and doesn't call for, so that means the people with that type of voice kind of need to be the leaders in that moment,
right?
Switch to something else with a bigger sound. That person, so everybody has to kind of really know their role. It's like a sports team, and I'm a big sports guy, so we use a lot of sporting analogies. And so I think what Kirk was referring to was just that unanimity of the sound, and you couldn't really hear individual voices. He just kind of was hearing a homogeneous thing coming at him.
Yes.
But I think that's what he was referring to.
Right, right. It's amazing. I've attended a rehearsal. I've experienced that, and to see it, and you're right, to experience, you have to experience it. You have to experience it for sure. It's really amazing. We had a question, and I want to from our audience here, and I try to acknowledge that. Randy Johnson out of Chicago says, "What can a music minister with limited ability, small choir with limited ability to upgrade, weak and aging sopranos, vocal exercise to develop balance, etc." What are your thoughts?
Well, part of that question has a lot to do with, a smart choir director will know what material to pull out so the choir could still sound very, very, very good. It makes no sense to pull out something with a high tessiture, low bass, all this stuff if you have an aging sopranos, that kind of thing. So you want to pick material that your choir can sing well. And you have to know your choir and be true to yourself and to your choir and pick that kind of stuff. And for the aging voices, there are certain techniques you can use. Lloyd Mallory and his professor, Dr. Lloyd Mallory and his professor, Don Newen, has a great book. What's the name of that book, Leo? You probably have.
It's a blue book. I have it in my folder now. I use it. It has all about the choral sounds. In fact, it has all the videos with it.
Exactly right. So
I have.
He addresses some of the aging voice techniques and a lot of other people, and there are analogies you can use to kind of help smooth out, especially for the sopranos, to help smooth out that slow and vibrato that they get. Like I'm out here looking at the lake outside my house now. You could just simply say sopranos. Could you sing this passage like if you're on a ocean with no waves? You'd be amazed that will kind of fix some things. We're not fixing totally, but just the imagery. Imagery is a big thing for our minds, and musicians can use imagery to help solve some technical things.
Yeah.
So Randy, if feel free to reach out to me. I could talk to you more at length about that. But that's a great question.
Imagery. I'm just trying to put that. That is Randy. That is a great. He's a great musician. I think I believe he's at New Covenant Church, UCC Church, outside of Chicago. But he's a great guy. So you serve as director of music for the Oakwood University Church, as well as chair of the music department. Here we go with these roles again, and director of the AEOLIANS. So how do you maintain your schedule with traveling and finding balance? You're chair of the music department, which is a great. I met your assistant conductor, brilliant music theory guy. You got Wayne on the staff as pianist. You got the AEOLIANS, but you also you deal with the church component, which I watch many Sabbaths with great music, and Pastor Bird's preaching is over the kind of almost like a metropolitan model again, because the music is over the top. We may see CeCe Winans one day, Kirk Whalum, AEOLIANS, the dynamic praise. I mean, just so many components. Go with us, share with us a little bit.
So the Minister of Music gig at Oakwood is a little simpler than it looks because of the fact that it's Oakwood. Let me just explain that. Like you just said, we have dynamic praise. Is a robust gospel choir here on campus. Matter of fact, they celebrate their 30-year anniversary of the school year. So they have a big celebration coming up. So they have 100+ people in their choir. We have the Voices of Triumph, which is another robust gospel choir. We have the university choir. We have the church chorale. So really, my role at the church is kind of just more coordinating and making sure everybody is singing when and where. So it kind of makes my job in certain ways a little less busy than it could be, because I don't really have to go and do any of these choirs. I just come in with the AEOLIANS, we sing. The big days, of course, when we have the big productions, TV or a big day, I have to get an orchestra ready and all those logistics. But again, we have an amazing music staff at the church. Stephen Manders is my assistant. Stephen Manders is the guy who
under his wings, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Musician. Dennis Batiste, who is a member of the group Committed that won the Sing Off. He's on keyboard. He's one of my AEOLIANS accompanists as well. So we just have an amazing staff at the church that can kind of pull their weight and make the church the church thing fun and not as taxing as it possibly can be. But how do I maintain balance, man? I'm not sure I'm successful at that all the time. It's always it's a week to week thing, day to day thing, trying to balance all these meetings and everything to make everything work. Oh, that's the done new and stuff.
Yes, it is. That's what I wanted to show. I had to sneak and get. I have the book as well. I want to offer another. I had the VHS, Jason, of Fraka Hasselman.
Yeah.
Techniques. I took that VHS and had it turned into a DVD, but I want to recommend it. Fraka Hasselman's voice. But this is what Dr. Ferdinand was mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
God, the power of words. Now, there's a book. I'm going to get that in a minute, but there's the power of words, choral techniques and methods. That's volume 4.
Yeah.
This is volume 1, energy, beauty, and placement, the qualities of fine choral technique, Don Nguyen. Then individual section characteristics.
Exactly. That's the section that addresses the soprano.
Right. That's a good one. In fact, I'm going to go back to these today. Thank you, Jason. A unified approach to vowel formation. I was jamming on my choir last night. And then rhythmic interest and forward motion. This is another good one. These are great DVDs that are still available. Don Nguyen that Jason was referring to. I'm going to get the book in a minute.
Yeah. The book is called Choral Excellence, I believe.
I got it. Yeah. So, I got it. It's in my folder. I live with that and the Kenneth, the vocalist is by the guy that used to be at St. Olaf.
Right. Don Nguyen was Lloyd's teacher at UCLA, so that's good stuff right there. Yeah,
good stuff. So tell us, Jason, as we form, we talk about Oakwood, we talk about AEOLIANS and so much stuff. How can we maintain excellence? And we're seeing you doing that dual role. And I want to thank you personally for your commitment to the church, not only to excellence within HBCUs, but your commitment to excellence within that you're modeling that. And your commitment to showing, demonstrating that when you take the AEOLIANS into our church. And so how would you say, how can we maintain musical excellence in our church?
Man, it varies from church to church, but you know what I would love to see, and I think that churches probably need to all establish their baseline, meaning there are certain things that were so foundational to the church, and when it came to the musical parts of the church, so like the good hymn singing.
Yes.
It hurts my heart to see churches doing away with pianos and doing away with pipe organs. I have nothing against the contemporary stuff, but I just truly believe that foundational stuff, we just need to be very intentional about making sure it doesn't die. And then we really need ministers of music who are, committed to doing our cross section of repertoire music. And you do such a great job of that, making sure we don't lose the hymn, make sure we don't lose the anthem, the spiritual. And we do everything, and we do it very, very well. And that's why Metropolitan really spoils me, because Nolan at the time just made sure all those things. I mean, which church do you know does, the Soulful Messiah one week and then flip around the very next Sunday and do the original Messiah? I mean, that's crazy when you think about it. But when you educate your psalmists, your singers to be in that environment, it becomes a tradition. It becomes easier and easier. And I think churches are really doing away with that. It really makes me sad. And also, being an academician now, it really makes me a little worried about what am I teaching these young musicians getting degrees now? Where are they going to end up? You know what I mean? So I kind of live it daily as I see these young students coming up. So I would just love to see us maintain some of these old staples in the church system, and try and be more balanced and we have to educate our congregations too, right? That's part of our job, and to keep them thirsty for learning new things. And maybe that's, for me, Leo, when it comes to church or school or the choir, for me that's always been something I try to maintain. Just try and keep fresh and learn something new. and I get bored very quickly. So doing the same thing over and over just drives me crazy. So I'm always trying to look for the new thing, new repertoire, new approaches, new techniques. Just always trying to be on the cutting edge. That's just me. Yeah.
And I think a part of that was the response to your question, which was what also I've been blessed, and you certainly have been blessed to have in the church aspect, very supportive pastors. Mm-hmm. Wanted the aspect of the broadening of the genres, the congregation to experience it. I've been blessed to serve under several pastors at Mississippi Boulevard, and they all, even with the current one as a millennial, still right. Appreciation for great depth of sacred music, the various styles. And a lot of that we have, as we know, we have some great musicians, but they're under leadership that they don't want it. They literally don't want it. They may say it out of their mouths, but in their hearts, they don't want it. Yeah, so it's important that we have that support as well. Two of the things, just two more questions, Jason, but here are the books. I found one, Jason, I know you're laughing. I found Empower the Choir, Concepts for Singers by Don Newen. This is pages are falling apart, but this is a great. Say it again, Jason.
I've never seen that book. Wow.
This is great. This is Don Newen, and it's wait up my camera view. Yeah, that's it. And it really mirrors the videos. It kind of mirrors all of VHSs, but it has each chapter. He goes into the journey from rehearsal to performance. He talks about the author of this book. Then he goes into energy, beauty, and placement, the qualities of fine singing. You take the notes, and that's on the video. So he kind of mimics this. I don't know how I got this, but it mimics those videos. So it kind of came with it. I got it years ago. And this is the other book I was talking about, Sing Legato. Jason, I think I first saw this on your desk or somewhere a long time ago. I saw it when you were first time somewhere, but by Kenneth Jennings.
Yeah. Lewis, it's funny. I'm actually thinking about in the near future doing a DVD series. That's one of the things on my to-do list. Yeah.
We need it. We need it. Please do it. I can get. Come on, you all speak up and say, do it. Do it. Hey, we got a question here from Dewala Simmons Burke. Jason, any advice for university choirs looking to raise monies to travel internationally?
Beg. No, I mean, I don't know that I have anything kind of unique, man. We've done the traditional kind of fundraising thing. Each student try and reach 50 people. Go back to their home churches, that kind of thing. We reach out to the AEOLIAN alumni. Right. They've been very supportive. Churches. We made friends with. This last trip to South Africa, we had a major sponsor, the Kettering Health Network, which is a Seventh-day Adventist health network, and become really good friends with the CEO there, Fred Manchur. But matter of fact, we just came back from Kettering on last weekend, just doing a concert up there to say thank you to them. Wow. And they gave us a huge gift to help. And then our administration here was just so helpful in, they realized the importance of exposing these kids to international travel and culture and that sort of thing. So they kind of chipped in. So I think in the university setting, sometimes it's challenging educating our administrators as to the full importance of what we do as a music department. And I have so many friends across the country who share their struggles with that. So Dewala, I don't know if I have any cutting edge thing when it comes to that, but there are platforms one can use. What was that thing that came popular some years ago? Before GoFundMe, what was that thing called?
PayPal? No, GoFundMe. I know what you're talking about.
It'll come to me in a second. But okay. Platforms that you can use specifically to make for your choir, and people could kind of donate, or have your university, have your advancement and development office set up a portal where people could donate directly to your program. People always like to do it that way too, so they could get a tax receipt and that kind of thing. Right. But Kickstarter, yeah, Robbie just reminded me. Kickstarter, thanks, Robbie.
Yes.
Yeah, so we used Kickstarter a few years ago for a recording project. I think we raised $15,000, and people gave more than we needed. I think we raised more than the 15. So reach out to people, and you'll be surprised at how many people want to support. Programs. We just have to ask, really. I know asking, I don't like asking people for stuff. I don't think innately we like doing it, but you'd be surprised at how many people want to support and help kids in their educational pursuits and their educational journeys. Hey, Robbie, see you in a few. We have a recording to do.
Hey, that's it. Please share with us some valuable lessons that you've learned throughout your career, Jason. What would you say? And I've got one more question after that. What are some valuable lessons that you say throughout all of your expansive career? What have you learned, would you say?
And I kind of looked at some of your past interviewees last 2 weeks, and everybody had such great tips. So I'll probably try and list some I didn't specifically hear. But, man, hard work. I tell people all the time, you know, I don't think you're going to outwork me. Talent could take you, but so far.
Yeah, yeah.
That hard work aspect is what really makes the great from the good, or the excellent from the great. Nolan Williams was a guy. I mean, Nolan worked so hard at his craft. All the great people you could think about, they put in that extra work. And, you know, and my teacher, Dr. McClary, always says, go the extra mile because the traffic is less there. So just hard work. The thing I just mentioned about always trying to look for how you can be fresh, new, and creative. Just always trying to come up with new ideas. Some of them will fail.
That's it.
I've had many ideas of like, okay, we're not going to do that again. That was whack. But, you know, just the thought process of trying something new expands your brain, right?
Yes.
Expands your thinking. And what we do as musicians is all about trying to find a new thing. How can we think ahead? And that's why I just love the guys like the Corey Henrys and
yeah, man, that's
and don't get me started on Jacob Collier, who's a dear friend of mine now. Jacob just thinks on a whole, you know, Jacob is not from planet Earth. Let's just say it like that. Just being friends with Jacob has stretched my mind in ways I just never thought about. I mean, just his thoughts on tuning and I thought I was deep when it came to phrasing. You talk to Jacob, and you're like, how do you think about that?
Right.
Just the whole way Jacob approaches music. Like Jacob had me reading a book on tennis, lawn tennis, to help me understand music. I mean, it sounds dumb, but that's the way he thinks. Jacob will go lay at the side of a lake and just look up to the sun, and he just gets his mind going. And just really trying to think of music in more than just notes and rhythms and melodies. There's so much more that goes into that could really expand your thinking, and then you could share that with others, and your students will go with you. And I'm learning now too, man, your students will teach you so much about music as well.
Yeah. Wow.
So a lot of the ideas that we come up with, not all my ideas, is a collaboration between myself and what the students come up with. So hard work and try to stay cutting edge and fresh.
Wow. So Jason, would you say those are your 3 core standards? We have a diverse audience of pastors, musicians, scholars, all kinds of people that are viewing today and that will view coming. So tell us just 3 core standards. Look, guys, in order to do this thing called music, or in order to do whatever, these are the 3 things that you really have. And I've gotten the hard work, the consistency. Anything else that you would like to add to that?
Yeah, passion. Making what we do, making the creative product relatable. Like have you ever gone to a concert and you know, be a great choir or something? I mean, they sing everything technically perfect.
Right.
You still feel kind of cold.
Right.
It's probably because what they did wasn't relatable to you or to the whole audience. So sometimes there's a link missing there. So passion, making the product relatable, and then 3. And this one is kind of hard to encapsulate. But how can we make the product something that will last the test of time? That's something I always think about. Is this going to be something just good for today and not good for tomorrow? So you would just want to always think about a lasting legacy. And like, why do we still do Beethoven symphonies?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do the Bach chorales and Mozart still, we still find it lively and exciting, at least to me, in this day and time? Why do we still do our Brahms Requiem? There's something about those pieces that have made it last the test of time. So when I approach the AEOLians every day, I'm going in there thinking, okay, guys, how could we sing these 8 bars right here that people will never forget?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that takes a lot of it takes a lot of thought, and it takes a lot of work in trying to make. I mean, think about it: 8 bars.
Yes.
How can we make this 1 bar
Right.
best bar ever in life?
Yes. Yes.
And my students hate me for something like, man, you're being so picky. No, but they love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's right there alone, Jason. That's what sets you apart. That is what has set you apart. It was 2 things. Not only because of your focus on those kind of minute detail, but also your passion to it. It's the combination of the passion that has made your music live beyond words, and that's the experience we're going to have at the ACDA convention. I'm telling the world that we're going to experience a choir that's going to help the music not only come off the page, but we're going to have a true experience, whether you want to call it religious or whatever it's going to be a musical experience.
Yep. Keep praying for us. Every time you say ACDA, my heart skips up.
We will, Jason. I am so honored. I know I've gotten a lot of posts already about those books. I'm going to put them and the videos. I'm going to list all of that on my page on Facebook. Jason may have some things, but the Empower the Choir Concepts for Singers by Don Newen. That's Kenneth Jennings, Sing Legato. There are a lot of things that are out there. The videos for Don Newen, I highly, as Jason mentioned, I have the DVDs. I suggest all 5 of them, invest in them.
Oh yeah,
all 5 of them, get them. There's some good stuff. I pulled out the group vocal techniques by Parker Hauserman, the book, as well as the DVD. And I believe it's another. It's at church. I have the whole compilation here. But
another good person people should really get into, and these are more philosophical and more psychological in the reads, but you know them. James Jordan has so many.
Jordan has several too. Yes,
that kind of go beyond technique. Some of them are like Alexander techniques, but some of them, like the musician's soul is so philosophical and psychological. But it is good stuff to try and get your brain to think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. We want to thank you guys. Just a few announcements. I do have the latest, Jason. I'm excited about the special edition of No Gimmicks. It's out. It can be purchased. This is this is the workbook. So I'm really excited. Everything has been released. It'll be out by the 28th of this month.
Wow.
I'll have copies on the 28th, so I'm excited about that. You've been really supporting the Christmas concert with Gregory Porter, Friday, December 14th. And so those tickets are going fast. Don't wait to get them. As Jason mentioned about our Rome Choral Festival going out of the country, we're good. We still need some more tenors. So if you avail yourself of that, I'm excited. I am excited. This is the last of the season. I can't believe this started, Jason, with me just pushing a button on Facebook Live talking about my book and for 15 minutes. And this has blossomed into what it has blossomed. And I want to thank you again for sharing on this. This is the last show for the season. We've got some great things coming up January 6th when we pick back up in January. And so I have a YouTube channel that you will be able to see all 20 episodes from Kevin Bond, Nathaniel Gums, to Jason Ferdinand, to Dr. Alicia Jones at Indiana University. You'll see all of those on my YouTube channel, which is Leo Davis, all things Dr. Leo. So I'm excited. I want to thank you all for your support. We're going to end with Jason mentioned a person earlier that he worked with. And what did I do with that? No, come on, Leo Davis. I have a quote here from an individual that he worked with for many years. I pulled this post up by Reverend Nolan Williams. Nolan, this post, I pulled some unique posts. This quote came from a time when Nolan was finishing up his career as his full-time job career, I believe, at Metropolitan at the time, and he was starting on really moving forward with his venture with New Works.
Yeah.
And he's been celebrating, I think he's celebrating maybe 8 years now with doing that. But he wrote this post, and I want to end with this closing thought, and then Jason will have some closing words and close us out with prayer. He wrote on this first post, he said, I write this post first to honor what God has done and is doing. He said, second, I write it to encourage those who have been allowing fear to trump daring action and vision. 4 words, friends: stop cowering, press forward.
Yep.
4 words again: stop cowering,
yep,
press forward. Then he says, and third, I write to affirm the value and results of undaunted work ethics. Things don't simply happen. Good results are the product of smart planning and hard work. Lots of hard work.
Oh, yeah.
So dig in, fully commit, stay on the grind, leverage relationships, and done. Whatever your it, your more may be. That's Reverend Nolan Williams, Jr. So again, Reverend Williams. And Jason, final words, you want to lead us out in prayer?
Yeah, that knowing Nolan, that sounds exactly like.
Yes, it is. Yes.
First of all, I just want to say, but thank you for this. This has been fun, and for all the people that have showered us with support over the years, we can't thank you enough. Just very, very humbled by people really loving what we do, and hopefully keep supporting. I just want to say, keep the AEOLians in prayer.
Yes.
We have some crucial things coming up. One you mentioned, AC Day is scaring daylights out of us, but we think we have a program that will work, and a program that will please both the academicians and it will appeal to the heart and to the heart. We think we have the right program, so keep us in prayer as we press towards that. Follow us on our social media things. We have some concerts coming up in the spring that you probably want to be a part of.
Tell us the connection to the link. What's the link? What did we look for? Tell them.
We go to the AEOLians on Facebook. We'll have our schedule on there, and the AEOLians again on Instagram, and we post our things there. And you could follow us on there. We haven't done that many live rehearsals this semester for a particular reason. One, because the ACDA stuff. And then 2, we're trying to actually hone some different techniques and stuff, which is a real experiment. So we'll probably post more stuff in the spring as we come. So thank you so much for this, Leo. This has been awesome, and congratulations to you for the.
Appreciate you. We want to highlight the AEOLians will be with us at Mississippi Boulevard March 24th, 19th. And we're excited about that. We'll share more as it gets closer, but the AEOLians will be with us at the Boulevard, so we're excited. We'll be sharing more about that. So, Dr. Ferdinand, you want to dismiss us in prayer? Appreciate you, man. Love you. Appreciate the relationship, the inspiration that you've been in my life, and I really value it. Love Mika and the baby. I wish they could see the baby, but I understand. Go ahead. Is the baby around?
They're upstairs somewhere.
Okay.
We could pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the gift of friendship and for Leo and all that he's doing to expand and to broaden the dialogue when it comes to music and excellence. Be with us now as we all go through our days. Keep us from harm and danger wherever we may be, and be with all the people that are vested in developing, growing young minds, musicians, choir directors across the country, singers. We thank you for the gift of music that you've given to us, and help us to find creative ways to grow it, to expand it. We love you and we adore you, and we thank you for everything that you've done for us. Take us to this day safely is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, brother. Love you much, Jason. Appreciate you so much.
Likewise.
All right. Love to meet you, the baby, and the family.
Will do.
All right.
Bye.